Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video of mine, and I'm bringing you yet another Battlefront Q&A, where I answer your questions about the game, the future content we may get, my criticisms of the game, and more. I'll get started with this question from Agent X, who says, they made a map of Scarif for one small part of the campaign, but won't give it us online. I don't think it's a case of they won't give it us online. The map was made for a very linear short part of the story, and it would never make a good multiplayer map. Like, if you look at it, it's a very linear, very small map that looks great, but if DICE just ported that over to, let's say, Heroes vs Villains or Blast, it would be truly awful. They would have to change so much about the map to make it at least viable to be an okay map. It would be truly awful to play on. The map design is for a single player walking simulator essentially, not a 8v8 team deathmatch or even a mode with objectives. It just would never work in a million years. If DICE released that, people would be so mad DICE just gave us a port with no tweaks. So other than using assets from the Rogue One Scarif DLC and making them look a lot better, the map served its purpose. This is just a really big misconception about how DICE should just use stuff from the campaign when it's not ready for multiplayer. The time it would take to make this map into an actual viable option to play on, they might as well just make a brand new map. Speaking of maps, Oscark44 asks, would you want to see any more planets like Castle where they're only for smaller modes? If so, which ones? 100%. Sometime next year, I think Heroes vs Villains Strike Extraction should get a map that we've seen in the previous Battlefront game or a brand new one. I think my most wanted planet is going to be Coruscant, and a Jedi Temple map would be pretty cool. I don't think DICE will do a massive large-scale Coruscant map because of performance issues, but I think it's entirely possible we'll get a Jedi Temple map, maybe for Heroes vs Villains and maybe some of the other modes like Blast. That would be pretty epic, I think. And if we're looking at some other planets that isn't just Coruscant, I would love to see the Salust maps come back from Battlefront 2015. I know the Carbon Freezing Chamber is also a map a lot of people want to see back. And Death Star 1, that had some really good maps, as well as the Rogue One DLC, but I don't think they'll do Death Star 1 because of how similar in style and environment it is to the Death Star 2 that's in the game. If they're looking for difference in environments, I think Salust or Scarif has a really good stance because they're completely different to anything else we have in the game. Suck asks, do you think they should allow bigger player counts in each map like Battlefield? I would have said that before Capital Supremacy came out, but listening to what DICE developers say about the 40-player count and then how they've used AI in Capital Supremacy, to be honest, I don't care if we don't get 64 players. We will never probably because of how the AI handles. I think it's a decent way of offloading the need to make maps for 64 players, and it means they don't need to have full amounts of 40 people join into a lobby when you can have somewhat decent AI and they do their job and they're there and they work pretty damn well. They didn't make this AI for nothing, so I really doubt we'll be getting 64 players, and to be honest, I don't care now. I think they did a fantastic job with using the AI to their advantage in Capital Supremacy. Ahmed Rashid asks, are they going to support the game after 2019? I thought it was over after the new movie. I want to give some clear clarification on this. They have not said this. They have not said they're going to be stopping after the Rise of Skywalker content. I think we'll still get stuff in early 2020. If they're going to continue throughout 2020, that remains to be seen. But how Dennis has been talking in interviews and online in the past few months, Battlefront 3 is not happening, and they're going to be continuing to develop this game for the foreseeable future as long as there is a player base, and there is definitely somewhat of a healthy player base. Just because they haven't announced any 2020 plans at this moment in time means it's not necessarily not happening, because if you remember back to last year, they didn't confirm 2019 stuff until sort of closer to the end of 2019. And that's when they delayed Capital Supremacy. So I think we'll get an indication to 2020 stuff probably around November, so in just over a month's time. Loki God says, AZZATRU, first of all, I'm a huge fan of your channel. Thank you for the great content. Well, thank you very much for the kind message. And he goes on to ask, this is just an off-the-wall question, how would you feel if DICE did the Old Republic for the next Battlefront? I know they most likely won't be the case, but I can dream. I just wanted your thoughts on how you thought it would be handled, such as planets, factions, heroes and villains, and so on. So this is a really good question, and I think it's something that people don't really understand how possible this could have been. Battlefront 3 is probably not going to happen ever now. I think they're just going to continue on Battlefront 2, or at least Battlefront 3 will not happen for several years. But if you think about it, if they were to do Battlefront 3, it would probably have to include some Old Republic stuff, because we have all of the main eras in Battlefront 2. How would DICE advance the game even more? Like, they can just keep adding to Battlefront 2, and that's great. But if they were to make a Battlefront 3, they'd have to include basically all of the content we have now, and then add even more. But it's like, they could just do that with Battlefront 2, because we have all these three eras. We have the prequel trilogy, we have the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. The only other main era they would probably go for would be the Old Republic. Unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of it explored in canon right now, and I think that's what the next set of films are going to be exploring. I think the next films will be about the Old Republic, which is very exciting. And I think if there were to be Battlefront 3, they would do Old Republic stuff. It would be after the first film of the Old Republic sort of trilogy we're getting in the next decade. I think it would be really cool to get some incredible heroes and villains, plus some really cool trooper looks, and of course planets as well. A Dude Law asks, would you like to see private matches ASAP, yes or yes? Of course, yes. For Friday Night Battlefront, it is needed. We're desperately in need for private matches plus community creations. So much things to do with the community could expand and so much creativity could happen because of private matches. So I think it's definitely needed. I think it's a good start that we have instant action and co-op. I think DICE should build off that. I've been telling them in feedback sessions this is what they should do and how much we need private matches because it helps the community thrive and survive. Lucas Hiller asks, do you think the Mandalorian skin for Boba Fett is going to be in Battlefront 2? I do not think it will. I doubt they will ever have different character skins for heroes. Ever. The Mandalorian is not the same as Boba Fett. I actually think the Mandalorian is quite a bit smaller and would have a completely different set of weaponry and abilities. It would never make sense to have him as a skin, to be honest. And you have to remember, technically in canon, Jango and Boba aren't Mandalorians. So there is that to consider, but I'm pretty sure if they were to do a villain or a hero, depending what side the Mandalorian sort of goes on during the series, I think he would be a separate character, but I don't think they'll include him into Battlefront 2. Cool Triplets 2 asks, do you think DICE will give us skins that we can pay credits for, like just not event skins? It will make me feel more unique if you pay for it as opposed to just noobs running around with the best skin for free. I don't know if that's the right way of thinking about it. I really want loads of skins, especially legendary skins that look awesome and, you know, cost 80,000 credits or cost 2,000 crystals, right? They had a decent amount last year, I would say. Like, they had the Boosh skin, they had the legendary General Grievous skin, they had the Han Solo skins. But this year we've not had a single one, and that is worrying. I know DICE are saying they don't want to make money as such, like, if they really desperately needed money, they'd make loads of skins, but there definitely needs to be a lot more, and things like the Crimson Dawn skin for Maul would be pretty epic and definitely worth 80,000 if they had the amazing visual effects on it. So, you know, I think we need them, and there is a lot of people that are sitting on hundreds of thousands of credits, but there is also a lot of people that don't have a lot of credits. They're new to the game, and they just need to learn how to use credits, but also they're not spending money on skins because they're like, it takes a long time to get credits and don't want to pay crystals. But to be honest, it doesn't take a long time to get a lot of credits these days. You have daily challenges, you have arcade, you have, you know, tons of other milestones you can complete. It's fairly easy to get credits, and I understand people don't want to pay crystals, but to be honest, the skins are pretty damn cheap with crystals anyway. And this isn't really a Battlefront question, but I thought it would be interesting to hear my thoughts on this. So here we stand says, do you think the sequel trilogy will be more appreciated in the future, as it happened for the prequels, or will they remain in the state of unrelenting despise? I think they will be loved in the future, much like the original trilogy, because in case you don't know, Empire Strikes Back, although it wasn't on the same scale as The Last Jedi, a lot of people didn't like it as much as A New Hope when it came out, and it wasn't until Return of the Jedi people actually appreciated it more. And then Return of the Jedi had this weird phase where people didn't like it, and it wasn't until the prequels came out people started to appreciate Return of the Jedi more. And the prequels were hated. People absolutely hated the prequels. If the prequels released in this time frame with social media and the online activity and opportunity we have now, it would be the same as The Last Jedi, seriously. I just think a lot of it is down to nostalgia, people's ages, people's likes and tastes changing, because the kids that are watching the prequel trilogy films now like them as much as the sequel trilogy films. The people who like the prequel trilogy films like the original trilogy, but the people that like the original trilogy don't necessarily like the prequel trilogy, because they've grown older since those first few films came out. So it's a very interesting take, but I do think they'll be loved later down on in the line, especially after we get the third and final chapter and people can understand what happened in these films more. That's going to do it for today's Q&A. Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below any questions you want me to answer in the next video. I'll probably do these every 3 to 4 weeks, so they're not too regular, but I don't want to miss out any really good questions, so please leave your questions down below. And if you do see a good question that has already been said that you wanted to ask, just hit the thumbs up button on their comment and it will definitely make it more visible to me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to drop a like on this video if you did. Subscribe if you are new around here, and check out any of the 2 previous videos on screen if you did miss them. And I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. Goodbye.